Jason Gray paved the way, changed the rate, released the pain. Least Hussein getting paid, trend setting, brighter days. Dope a rap, tight as set, high and deadly. I'm a fighter jet, Jeremy.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Muffins Martinez. Not sure what we call Rob K today because he's luchadored out. So that's Luchador K right now. Myself, the OG, Boricua Don Dada, a.k.a. Chef, the man of a million a.k.a.s. Y'all already know what it is. Like, subscribe, share, all that good shit. We had to wait because Rob has been around two Puerto Ricans too long. So he's on his Puerto Rican time. We're supposed to do this on Monday. He comes on a Wednesday. So he's trying to be fashionably late. It is what it is. I'm not sure how to go through this because I don't want to keep asking Rob 6 million questions. So I think we let Rob give a breakdown. Rob kind of give his feel.
Well, we have to tell the fans that Rob was there in the front row for the MLW.
Yeah, for people who haven't been watching the pod for a while, because we've been dropping it, I don't know, for a couple of months now because they sold tickets were on sale like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was front row, hard cam side, so like you could see me quite a bit. From what I see, I'll rephrase this. What I could see, you could see me quite a bit. I have not actually watched the actual broadcast yet. Slacking on that because real life is a thing. But yeah, so myself and the wife were front and center, specifically to mock the one called Manders in his impending defeat, which came true. He lost because I taught Kojima how to take down Manders during the meet and greet too.
Well, so I gotta ask, are you wearing the mask to the shirt on, like the guy's shirt on your chest?
No, that's coincidental. This is Atlantis. So okay. Atlantis and his son wrestled at Azteca. I brought it up in the chat, I don't know, like a month ago or something like that. I said like, oh yeah, dude, I have an Atlantis mask. You're like, you should wear it for the pod that day. And so I am. And then the independent t-shirt du jour this week is that of the Submission Squad, which I don't think they're a group anymore. But they're a team that was based out of St. Louis. But had made the rounds a bit. Pistol Danger. I can't think of what his actual name was. Evan something. Now I'm just blanking on like all the names. But Davey Vega was a member of the group for 10 minutes. Gary J was a member of the group for 10 minutes. But yeah, they're a Midwest staple.
I do see something behind you. Usually we have a beautiful female wrestler that sits behind you in some kind of.
I thought it was female. I rotate. Last week was Cornboy.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, shit, I didn't pay attention. But we get the former heavyweight champ of the world, Alex Kane. He makes his appearance. Finally follows the homie back. Rob,
finally.
Please go for Muffins. Go through the show. Actually, you go through the show. You'll ask him questions, and I'll just kind of be like the third wheel here.
Well, no, I mean. Well, Rob, how was the atmosphere? Like you were mentioning how it was and how it looked, and then how professional it looked when the lights were on and stuff like that. Can you give us the atmosphere of the location, the crowd? I mean, was it live? Because I can hear the bongos.
Yeah, there was, and it was just one dude. It was just one dude with a drum, like
the big bongo, right?
It wasn't. I mean, it was good size, but it was probably like a little bit smaller than a floor tom for you drummers out there. Probably about 3/4, half the size of a floor tom. But he played it with a mallet, so he got extra little stomp out of it. But yeah, no. Actually, I wish I would have done a little bit more research in terms of lucha crowd culture because there was some chance they were awfully organized. I had no clue what was going on.
Yeah.
And that that's on me. Like I can quasi hold my own occasionally on luchadores, but like the crowd and the etiquette is something totally different. But the crowd, like I was worried because it turns out like a lot of the seats were actually general admission. So like I'm going to out some things. And so like the sellout was a misnomer for the most part. Like all the seats were sold out originally, and then the rest were like general admission that they sold day of. And so basically like if you're sitting around the hard cam, it meant you got your tickets at the last minute at the door. Either way, though, it was pretty darn full, and we lucked out despite being front row that like the people next to one of the group of people next to us like didn't show, so because like the chairs were tethered together, so you couldn't move them, so we were gonna have to be like elbow to elbow with people. But yeah, the atmosphere was electric. I was really impressed with how the venue transformed with TV magic, because the Cicero Stadium is basically like almost like a glorified YMCA overall. But like you can't tell like once the house lights go off and you just have the television lights like surrounding the ring, and so it goes from like just a gym to like this really cool looking venue. Like, and I mean, Muffins, you saw it, like that place looks legit. And but like with the house lights on, like, oh, there's there's where the basketball hoops usually are. Here's where here's the scoreboard and whatever. But yeah, the crowd, and then the crowd itself was electric. Like they knew their luchadores. Mystico kept screwing with the crowd before the show started, so like he would come out and the crowd would chant something at him I couldn't quite make out, and then he would just like do a gesture, and then they would just erupt, and then he'd pop behind a screen, because like there was where the wrestlers were like doing in the merch, and then there was a screen behind it or a screen in front of it. And then Mystico would pop out, and then he like, and the crowd would yell at him, and then he would do this gesture, kind of make a crescendo, and then he would just pop up back behind the screen again.
Outside of Mystico, was there another like luchador that people went absolutely crazy for?
I mean, he's the like they went crazy for him, but he also dicked around with the crowd too. He did a lot of crowd interaction before his match. Ultimo Guerrero. Like the crowd got very much behind him. Felino, the crowd was very much behind him. Atlantis Jr. won the crowd over too. Like they weren't like silent for him, but like that match, like arguably, I thought was like the match of the night. Like if Atlantis and Ultimo Guerrero, those guys showed out hardcore, and like the crowd definitely appreciated it. And I'm trying just to stick to the televised pro, or should I am going to try to avoid spoilers for for next week.
Yes.
And so like I've sent like certain batches of like pictures and or videos out that could be spoilers, but like I mostly kept those hidden for friends, co-workers, people who bother to pay me money, etc. For the most part, but it was electric for most of the night.
Was the crowd popping for the MLW matches?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, obviously the luchadores
trying to be political.
Yeah. Okay. I'll put it like this: it's not like they shit on everybody or they were absolutely quiet for people, but like the main draw for the crowd was the luchadores. It was a Cicero. Like I learned, this is something I learned going there. Cicero itself is a very Hispanic population. So that was going to be the main draw. But like, the MLW matches like got a good response too. Like sometimes like it took a little bit to pick up a bit. Like I will specifically note Bad Dude Tito. And I threw it in the chat like while my occasional sojourn to my phone during the show. But like Bad Dude Tito came out to crickets. Like nobody cared about Bad Dude Tito. But like by the end of that match though, they actually cared. Like he actually got a pretty good response overall. So like you can kind of tell that like some of the fans like weren't familiar with the product itself, but like those folks who actually did bother to do the crowd work would quickly win them over. Also like Notorious BRG, Ryan Gosling, also like didn't get a great crowd response, and then he started healing up on the crowd, and they're like, okay, well now we're gonna let the guy have it. So there's your spoiler. It's not really a spoiler. They put it on the posters. But Ryan Gosling was in action for the Fury Road part of the tapings. Taking on
now, how did McGriddle do? Like, did he get a reaction there or no?
Oh yeah. People know he's
a huge name.
Yeah, he's a big name. People know who he is. I feel like if they were relatively quiet, it's just because they didn't know who they were. So like Kojima did, so like Cozy Max got a response, like the Second Gear Crew did get a response. You know, some of like the lower tier, just newer debut guys, like
So
are
now-
kind of were quiet for.
I've been told that Matt Riddle tried to bro you up and you declined the bro thing.
I played it up a little bit. He didn't offer me specifically, and if you look at the video, he didn't.
You're
But
being very political right now. You said,
No.
fuck you, you don't get a bro dap.
Oh, I definitely didn't make it a point. Like, I know, like, again, there's video evidence. Like, I know, I did no sell the entire. Anytime he appeared, I no sold it. Like, whether he's getting dabs ringside or during the match itself. Like, I'll admit it. Like, I may put it, things politically, but like I've made it known on like Confusion. Like, I'm not going to touch McGriddle. Like I won't even like say his name properly, because that way you can't, if you transcribe my podcast, you won't find me referencing him either, so you can't even search for him. But yeah, so like I have, and we've seen it in the background. I might even pulled it up on camera. But like I have Azteca henchman mask, and I brought it along, and basically that way I could be incognito during McGriddle matches. And so what I would do is, like, as soon as I heard his music, mask would come on, and I would just sit like this and not move for the duration of.
He gave him
his
the Eddie
matches.
Edwards treatment that I used to give him.
Yeah, so like,
he definitely did it to the whole match, because I'm like, what is Rob K looking at? Because
yeah, like I would look just like I could see the match, but I would just look kind of like right off to the side, like so like I was hard cam, so like I was like front and center, so like I would just like, if during a normal match, like you unless I was looking like wherever the wrestlers happen to be, like you could see me like head on. But for those matches, just because as I'm kicking my table, for those matches, because again, my semi-silent protest of his existence in MLW, hands on, I wouldn't even like cheer, hands on my lap. It was like grade school with the Lucha mask on, just hands on my lap, staring off straight ahead. And I would do that for like, which I got lucky. I probably didn't die because of the brawl at one point that Riddle had it like right in front of me. So like, if they would have done anything with the guardrail, I would have taken another shot via guardrail, which Alex Cannery buggered up my knee on that one. For a spoiler alert, during his match, his open challenge.
That's on Bomaye.
Now, out of the shows that you've been, what would you rate this one here?
I mean, this is probably the most electric crowd I've been a part of. And I will say that like I haven't done a whole lot of, we'll call it mid-level indies. Like I've either gone like WWE, AEW, or I've done I won't call it Outlaw Mud Show, but it's like 3 steps above that, because it's guys who are actually trained. It's just guys that for the most part don't have a whole lot of name value. They're all like, most of them are rookies and guys who like really never left the area. But like, yeah, this crowd was electric overall. It was a lot of fun. Like, I mean, and so like, if MLW, obviously, if you're a fan of MLW and it comes anywhere near you, like, obviously you do it. You get the tickets, you'll have fun. Like over here, like, yeah, I dropped more money than I would have liked to, but I also got front row. But like, the general admission tickets were like $10. Like, so like, it was ridiculously cheap. Like overall, like you're not going to break the bank going to MLW. And like
merch was pretty much gone.
Yeah, they did like mostly sell out the merch. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I'm not a big merch guy. Like I because it's usually overpriced. But I did know, like I did see like the t-shirts were actually very reasonably priced. Like most of the time, like there's like concerts and whatnot, like it's a markup. But like t-shirts were like basically the price you get it like if you ordered it online or got it off the rack. But yeah, like I mostly just stuck to like, I'll call it the meet and greet section. So like I didn't go to the I didn't do a whole lot at the MLW merch table. I went and talked to the wrestlers, and then I also participated in technically 2 meet and greets, but like anyone who's done like the higher level indies knows that like a lot of meet and greets are literally just like, hey, basically what we do with any other wrestler, except you had to pay more for it and have a special ticket for it. So like I do the meet and greet with Satoshi Kojima, but it was pretty much just like, hi, big fan, like
language
do good tonight, or in some variation of what I would say to anybody I've done this with, like big fan of your work, thank you for coming by, like good luck tonight, I'm looking forward to your match, and then get your 8x10 or picture with them depending on what package you purchased for the event. But yeah, so I did do the meet and greet with Satoshi Kojima, told him how to take down the one called Manders, because I've been watching Manders for like 6-7 years now, literally his entire career. And I also got to, and it made me sad that there's no cameras, technically no cameras allowed there unless it was an official picture, but got to hang out in the office with El Jefe himself, Cesar Duran. And that was a lot of fun, especially for the wife.
Was he there? Was he around?
Yeah, he was in the office. Yeah, so I haven't got the picture back from the wife yet. Like, this is the only picture that was taken on her phone. It was with us, and he's a little bit taller than her. Like, so that was my snark goals, to see if she was bigger than him, because he's so tiny. Like, he's not a big dude, and like doesn't come off as that big of a dude on TV. But yeah, so we got to go see the makeup of his office. There was a Lucha henchman standing off to the side watching everyone. He talked, he gave us kind of like, Chicago loves its violence, did you come for the violence? I'm like, yeah, of course we came to the violence. And like, I got front row tickets to the violence, dude, obviously, because I'm here. Like, yeah. And then like the best part of the interaction is, so he's going along with these, he's just like, so are you going to make noise? I'm like, yes, of course, we're going to scream our heads off. How will I know it's you? And so like I had to like think of it, like, so like what was going to set us apart from the crowd, just to let him know. And finally, just first thing popped in my head, which is going to be the half truth, because I'll be the one shouting profanities at the one called Manders. And then he did like the Mr. Burns kind of like, yes, excellent, the one called Manders. So, Mr. Burns, like, yeah,
this was obviously awesome. Now we're talking with El Jefe, and I'll ask you one more question. So El Jefe winds up kidnapping Salina de la Renta or whatever. We don't know if he legitimately kidnapped her, but went through a door, got grabbed up. Me and Muffins already talked about this. We haven't had the opportunity with you going into his office. I don't know if you'll be a little biased now, but what do you think of El Jefe and Salina de la Renta 2.0?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, like, so they didn't do a whole lot of like the pre-tape, like they didn't show a whole lot of the pre-tapes to the crowd for the event. So like Salina being kidnapped at the end of the show, if it wasn't for Muffins and y'all, like, I actually wouldn't have known anything about it. Like, what we got was like a half-hour long like Mystico promo after his match. But I mean, as long as like big picture is like, I personally was okay with the lack of the pre-tape stuff, because like I've kind of made it known that like I kind of get bored with the Salina Cesar feud when it takes up like the entirety of the show, because a lot of times it doesn't make a whole lot of progress like within the show. So as long as they're making beats to move the storyline forward, I'm going to be down with it. So like, yeah, we didn't get a whole lot of things giving us like a scorecard or anything like that. Like for us in the crowd, a lot of it was just straight up wrestling for the most part.
Impact used to do a lot of that too.
Yeah, and so there wasn't, so like when you guys would be getting like the pre-tapes, basically that was when the wrestlers would be like shuffling off injured, and the announcer would come down to get ready for the next match, or in the case of like the hardcore stuff, like they would clean up.
Muppet, you got something for him? Because I was going to ask him.
Because he said Mystico did like a
half hour
promo afterwards. Like he spoke English or Spanish?
Mostly Spanish.
Well, so to his crowd.
Yeah, like I mean, that was just like, and my Spanish isn't great, so obviously I didn't get a chunk of it, but a chunk, but he would kind of like every now and again kind of give a little bit of English and whatnot, but like basically it was kind of your standard like overall, like, thank you all for coming and cheering me on. I can't do this without you. You feel my fighting spirit, etc. Like, I can't wait for us to come back here.
Which they will in November.
Yeah.
So I know you said Atlantis Jr. and the Guerrero guy absolutely murdered it. If you had to pick another match from the pay-per-view live, because it's always better live.
Oh yeah.
What was the match that you liked, and then we'll transition out of here because I think we talked everything that the fans would want to hear how this show went by.
I mean, obviously the main event over in terms of what again for non-spoilers, actually, like, my favorite match happens in the Fury Road chunk of tapings.
Okay.
But the main event also, delivered, because Mystico is, just what he could do is amazing. Like, he may not necessarily be the best high flyer in the world anymore, but like, he's still a top 10 dude, and just the amount of body control he shows off. And Barbaro Cavanario, I hope I flipped that around correctly because I always screw that up. Is flies under the radar a whole lot, but like, that dude is pretty darn agile himself. Pardon?
Is he old?
No. Like, I don't think I think he's in his 30s.
Yeah.
Or he may not be 30 yet, because they a lot of luchadores start young too. But yeah, so he's not a legend type dude. But like, yeah, he's kind of flown under the radar. But like, he's pretty agile for his size too, and he's a pretty darn good base overall. Plus, his gimmick is so different from everybody else's. It helps him stand out a bit, because like, no slight intended to the luchadores, but if everybody's wearing like a colorful mask, colorful, bodysuit, etc., like, everyone kind of just blends together for the most part. And so, like, despite maybe having like Fuego, who's still like bright orange, like, yeah, but like, so was Jesus Rodriguez. Not that we're going to actually mistake those two, but you have all these guys in like bright masks and bright pants, and then you have a caveman. Like, he's going to stick out amongst these extra 10 guys running around, because there's only one dude in a one shoulder strap singlet with a bone in his hair running around.
That look like the Flintstones.
Now, he's like legit, like, for the Flintstones.
One more question, since you already know the Fury Road, like, what's the match that we have to look out for that you're going to say this is the match that people are going to enjoy from the Fury Road?
I mean, my favorite match is the Falls Count Anywhere match between Matthew Justice and Mads Kruger. That match was nuts. Though I will say it's also nuts in a hardcore fashion. So if you're not into the hardcore stuff, I mean, it's going to be polarizing. So like, but like, I was thoroughly entertained by it, but I love all that chaos. So there's some pretty gnarly stuff. Like, and I'll give you the spoiler. Kruger bleeds like a stuck pig in that match. They hit something during hit something during the match, because it was literally just pouring like a stream like off the mask, and like, I didn't get any good footage of like the stream that was coming off. I'm almost surprised they didn't stop the match at one point. I thought they were, because the ref started waving, but I think that was their cue to get out of the ring and go on to the next segment of the match. But like, I was thoroughly entertained by that. If you're a fan of strong style, Manders and Satoshi Kojima for the World Heavyweight Championship delivers as well, because they're both two dudes who like to chop very hard and throw lariats. So you won't be disappointed by that. And the women's fatal 4-way was well done as well.
Okay, so we talked a little different than I thought we would, which I kind of dig. We kind of talked what happens around, how it looked, fans and all that. Bring a little taste of, we'll rename this however Muffins comes up with it, because I think this is a good play on what happened and how it looked official and how everything moved. Let me say thank you, because Bad Dude Tito did a promo, and he said that they, you you should be telling me thank you because now you got to finally a real champion and you get rid of this fat slob.
Yeah. Oh,
so
And he's above
So,
500,
thank you.
so like he might actually deserve a championship. Maybe didn't deserve the extra shot, but Mr. 600 now. It's all good.
So
Me
thank
too.
you, Bad Dude Tito, for finally giving us a real legit champion again. It's been a while since having one. So it is what it is. Luchador K, Muffins Martinez, OG Boricua Dandada. We're out of here. Deuces.
Deuces.